Hey there, my name is Mackenzie. Welcome to this video. Today I'm answering the question, why aren't my job applications working? And this is a question I get all the time, so I wanted to cover it. And why should you watch this? You should watch this if you're a student or a graduate looking to land a job and you're applying online but not getting the interviews or the number of interviews you'd hope for, or you're just finding this whole job process difficult. And why should you listen to me? Well, I've helped my clients land over 120 jobs and internships across a range of different industries and all over the world. And I've also had a bit of experience myself. So I've had over 4 years of consulting and startup experience at companies like KPMG and Uber, if you've heard of those. And I've also had experience hiring and managing over 20 people. And in my experience, there are 8 main reasons as to why your job offers aren't coming through the door when you're applying online. Okay, so there's 8 main reasons why your job applications aren't working. So without further ado, let's get into them. The first reason is you're applying to the wrong jobs. And what do I mean by this? Well, I mean there are a ton of different job adverts out there. And in those job ads, they explain what they're looking for in that description section. And so realistically, people are going to apply to these jobs. And to get an interview, you have to be one of the best candidates that they can find. And to get the job, you need to be the best candidate they can get their hands on, or at least the best candidate in their eyes. And so when you're applying with a resume and the cover letter and online interview questions and things like that, you're going to be judged based on your credentials, your education, your skills, and more often than not, how much experience you have. And a lot of people, a lot of hiring managers, they will place emphasis on how many years of experience you've had and also the quality of your experience. So have you got experience that's relevant at good companies with good brands, and how many years have you got? Okay, so put yourself in the shoes of someone hiring and they see one person comes in with 5 years of experience working in, say, IT support. And then you've got a fresh graduate coming in with 6 months of experience. Okay. Who's better? You've got all these applicants. Who's better? I'll leave that up to you. So if you're applying to jobs where you're not one of those top candidates based on what they're looking for, their evaluation criteria, you probably won't get an interview. Why would they interview you if they've got all these candidates who seem to meet their requirements better? And to give you a story, it's kind of like trying to catch a fish. So it's like getting out your fishing rod, throwing it in, and you forgot to put the bait on. You're not going to catch anything. Even though the hook's on there, it's in the water, you're not going to catch because there's no bait to attract the fish. And so an example of this, of where someone was applying to the wrong jobs and then they actually started applying to the right jobs, was a client that I had who was applying to data analyst jobs. And he had a master's degree that was relevant, but he barely had any experience related to data analytics. So he wasn't getting any interviews. That was before we started working together. And once we started working together, he figured out that he was actually more suited to a specific type of role. He identified his skill set, that he had a lot of great experience in customer service and in banking. And so because he had the technicals with the master's side of things and the IT side of things, but he also had the customer service and the banking skills, he could apply those to a role where he'd be a great fit and one of those top candidates. And as soon as he redirected to those types of roles, he was getting interview after interview. Okay, and later on, he eventually went on to get a data analyst role once he had that experience, got his foot in the door in the industry. So how do you know if you're applying to the wrong jobs? Well, you probably haven't got an interview yet, or you're not getting many interviews relative to how many applications you're sending in. That's one potential way to look at it. And so how do you fix it if you do not, you're not sure if you're applying to the right jobs or not? One way is to research profiles. So go on LinkedIn, look at companies where you want to work, and look at the people who actually work there, who actually secured the jobs you want. What kind of experience do they have? What kind of education? What kind of skills? What are the trends that you're noticing here? And look at people who landed the job ahead of you. So say a month ago you applied to a job and you didn't get it. Who got that job? Go and look to see who are these really good candidates? Who are these companies choosing? And another way to do it is to actually just go and talk to the company. So go and find someone at the organization who works there, or a hiring manager, whoever it is, and actually talk to them. Ask for feedback and ask them why this might not be going to plan. And an easy way to do it is ask for the number one thing you could do to become a better candidate. And if they don't reply, that's okay. Try and follow up and get through. Usually if you follow up a few times, you can end up getting through. Once you've got that, you can then identify what does a really good candidate look like. And you can either become that candidate for those types of jobs, or you can adjust your view and start to look for jobs where you are a good candidate right now. So based on your current skill set, where are you sitting as one of the top candidates for those jobs? And you've got to go and find those. That's how to fix it. So that's probably the biggest reason that I find for people not landing jobs. Reason 2 is you haven't applied to enough jobs. And don't get me wrong, in the long run, I believe you can land whatever job you want. Okay? But in the short term, when you've got, there are a lot of variables at play, you have to look at the numbers. You have to look at the statistics. And what do I mean by this? Well, if you apply to, say, 5 jobs and you've come second best or third best for all 5, that might just be your bad luck, for those 5 jobs. So usually, if you keep applying to the right jobs and you're a good candidate for those jobs, you're aiming the right place, and you hit a certain volume of applications. So say you hit 10 applications for the right kind of organizations, you should probably get an offer. You should be seeing results. You should be getting interviews there. And it's kind of like playing soccer. Even the best players in the world, Ronaldo, Messi, or, if you know soccer, you will know those people. Even them, they have tons of shots every game, and they won't score every shot that they have. But they know if they have a certain number of shots, given how good they are at shooting and the opportunities they get, they know they can get 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 goals max. But they might have a lot more shots. It's the same as this. We want to have enough shots that we're good enough with so that we can get that offer. We can get the ball in the back of the net. So how do you fix this? It's really, really simple, this one. So try to apply to at least 10 of the right jobs. So in number 1, we talked about applying to the wrong jobs. So you want to apply to the right jobs and apply to at least 10 of the right jobs. If you've applied to at least 10 and you're not seeing any results, you're not getting any interviews, okay, you should be getting interviews if you're applying to 10. If you haven't, then something is probably wrong with your approach, as we'll see in the following reasons, or it's because you're not applying to the right jobs. So you've got to kind of figure that out. So that's the second big reason I noticed. Some people, if they're only applying to 3 or 4 jobs, if they up that to 10, boom, results come. If that doesn't work for you, then it's probably something else. So the third reason here is that they aren't seeing your application. What do I mean by this? So let me use an analogy. Imagine you go and open up your email right now. Most people, they have tons of emails coming through. Some people's inboxes get to like 100,000. It's crazy. So imagine you open up your email at the beginning of the day and you get 100 emails. And you're trying to get through them all, but you only get through, 50. And maybe one slips through and you miss it. Maybe you mark it as unread and you forget to go back. Okay, this is the same kind of thing that could be happening to the hiring managers and the recruiters at the companies you want to work at. If there are lots of applications, they may miss yours just due to the volume. So what's an example of this? Well, one of my clients recently landed a role at a company called PwC, a really big company. And he mentioned that there were over 18,000 applicants for this job. So imagine how easy it is to miss a really good candidate. Really easy, right? So how do you fix this? How do you make sure your applications are seen? Simple as that. You go and make sure that they actually are seen. And the easiest way, without getting into too much detail, is build a relationship with people at the organization and make sure that the person or the people who are involved with hiring and the selection process, they know and they have seen your application. Make sure that happens. Okay, find a way to get through to them. So that's the third big reason. The fourth reason that I usually see is your application is not impressive. So what do I mean by this? Well, if you're applying to the right jobs and you are a good fit, you could be doing all that stuff right, but you could still be missing out because your application is just not great. It could be your resume isn't written very well. It's not very powerful. The grammar's not great. The formatting's not great. It's underselling you. It could be your cover letter. It could not be very good. Maybe your English isn't very good in it. Maybe it's your LinkedIn, your online application answers. It could be an email that you sent that wasn't very impressive. It could be that you're even coming across maybe rude in there. So you could be an awesome candidate applying for the right jobs, but if your application is not impressive, then you're shooting yourself in the foot. It's kind of like, when you might go and watch a TV commercial, or you go into the shops and you see a product's branding or a way it's marketed to you and it just doesn't quite click. You're not really enticed to go and purchase that product. It's kind of the same, when people are looking to hire students or graduates, they've got this sea of options and they are going to pick the ones that, impress them the most, that excite them the most. So if you're not marketing yourself well, you've got to start doing it. And for one of my clients, for example, he wasn't having much success, but he had all the right core, raw ingredients to be an awesome graduate, really successful, but he wasn't marketing himself. So once he updated his resume, his cover letter, his LinkedIn, his entire portfolio, he was able to land an amazing job at one of the best engineering companies in the world. So it's really important to do this. It doesn't make up for a lack of all the other things that we're going to talk about, but it's one reason it could be. And the funny thing is, most people, whenever I ask them why they think they might not be getting results, they say, it's my application, it's not very good. But most people just jump to this conclusion. It could be so many other things. So how do you fix this? You've got to learn how to market yourself well in all of these areas. You've got to figure out what the organizations want and you've got to give it to them. And you can do this by, reading books, online courses, all these things to get really good. But an easy way is just to get help from someone who has actually done what you want to do already. Get their help doing it. It will save you a lot of time. The fifth reason is they don't know you. So you're applying online, you're a good candidate, you're doing all these things right, your application's great. But even if you're a great candidate and you're doing all these things, they might just go for someone that they know better or that their team knows better, someone they trust knows better. So imagine you have a few options. There's 3 candidates. They're all equally brilliant. They've come across really well. They've got all the right ingredients. But one person you actually know personally. You've built a relationship with them. They know you. You trust them. You've known them for a while. And you've also got an option, which has been someone who's been referred by a friend who you also trust and you've known for a long time. And the third option is you, and they don't know you. They've just met you, but you're the same kind of quality. Who are you going to choose? People who are good quality and you know and trust more, you've known for longer, or someone who's brand new? Usually, people are inclined to go for people that they trust more. It's less risky. And an example is one of my clients who also landed a job at a really big accounting firm or consulting firm. The way they got through was to build a relationship with one of the junior analysts. And over time, this analyst got to know them, and then they actually referred them in for an interview because they trusted them. Okay, and referrals are one of the most powerful ways to get new employees. And that's how they did it. They ended up going straight to the interview round. They skipped a lot of steps and they got an offer. So even if you're doing everything right and they don't know you, they know someone else a bit more, you probably won't get the offer, unfortunately. And is that fair? Debatably not. But it's human instinct. So how do you fix this? Well, you've got to figure out how to build a genuine relationship, ideally before you apply. And I know it's really difficult, especially when you're applying to jobs last minute. But if you can, you're going to be a shoo-in for sure. And how do you learn how to build relationships? Well, read the right books, learn the right materials. Okay, there's a lot of things that you need to think about, but the main skill here is relationship building. The sixth big reason that I see, and it sounds crude, it sounds kind of mean, but it's kind of true, is that the organization and the people there don't like you as much as other people. What do I mean? Well, on top of knowing you and you being a great candidate for this role, you need to be likable. Imagine you have two options. You have one person, excellent candidate. You've known them for a while. Okay, they fit the bill. And you've got someone else. They fit the bill. Okay, they're both great. You know both of them. But this person you just like hanging out with and working with a bit more, you're going to choose them because you want to work with people that you like and enjoy working with. If you're spending 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week at work, you want to enjoy it. So, just put yourself in the shoes of the hiring manager. Who would you choose? I know who you would choose. You would choose the person who you like more. So, how do you fix this? Simple. Be more likable. So, how do you be more likable? Again, read the right books. Do the right online courses. Learn. Doesn't take too long to learn this stuff, but you've got to be likable. And if you can be likable more of the time and more of the interactions, whether it's digital, whether it's in person over coffee, you're going to massively increase your chance of being successful. And some people do miss out purely because of this reason. The seventh reason that I see for applications not working is there is an excess of high quality candidates. You have some amazing competition that you're up against. What does this mean? Well, say for example, you're applying again, let's use IT support as an example. In fact, no, let's go for accounting. So you're coming in, you've done an accounting degree and you want to become a junior accountant. And you know you're capable of becoming a junior accountant. And in the job descriptions, they're asking for people who don't necessarily require experience. But then you've got 5 people that apply to that job. Say you've got 50 people that apply, and 5 of them have over 3 years of experience as junior accountants. Purely because experience is such a massive indicator of a quality candidate, at least for most employers these days. Although it may not be true, it's just a good indicator. Because that's the case, they're probably going to go for those people and interview those people, even if you're an awesome candidate. And you might get an interview, but in the end, if they've got 5 people with way more experience, they're probably going to de-risk their option and go with them. So, this is a really tough one to fix because what it essentially comes down to is back to number 1, which is you're not applying to the wrong jobs, but you kind of are applying to the wrong jobs because the competition is so high. So you almost have to apply the same principles and figure out where are you actually a really, really good fit in the market today? Where are your skills a really good match? Where are you fitting in the top, X% of candidates? Which roles are they? Where are you fitting? And where is there a massive oversupply of good candidates, and where is there an undersupply? Because if you can go to where there's an undersupply, okay, then that's where you can do well. So you've got to kind of apply those same principles here. So you've got to become a great candidate for these positions, or you've got to change your mindset, think about where am I a great candidate, and go for those opportunities. Okay, there's lots of ways to do both of those things, but it's all about reframing. If you're continually going for these jobs where the competition is just, they've got a lot more experience or more skills than you do, it's going to be a very difficult battle to win. So you've got to be strategic, and instead of putting in every waking hour into those opportunities, you go for something else. So, the final one. And this isn't really a reason why your applications aren't working. I just wanted to squeeze this in here because a lot of people forget about this. Most people only apply online. And I know what you might be thinking. You might be thinking, well, what other option do I have? Well, last time I ran my numbers, 40% of my clients, or 40% of my, I should say, offers that clients received were hidden, and 60% were advertised. Advertised, you know what that means? They applied to a job online and they got selected through the process. But 40%, for 40% of those offers, there was no ad. And what does that mean? That means someone actually offered them a role that was never advertised anywhere. So what I mean by point 8 is if you're just focusing on advertised jobs, you're putting all of your energy into those, you might be neglecting the hidden job approach, which is a very powerful way of landing jobs. So let me give you an example. So imagine you're a CEO of a 20-person startup and one of your analysts leaves and you've got to fill that gap. You've got to get a new analyst because they've just left. What would you do? Option 1 is go and put an ad on LinkedIn or Seek or whatever the job ad is near you. That's going to cost a bit of money. It's going to take a bit of time. It's going to be a little bit slow. It's going to be a lot of effort vetting all these candidates because there are a lot of candidates that won't be a good fit and few that are a good fit. And you've got to do all these things. You've got to negotiate salary, blah, blah, blah. And you probably have to do that anyway, but I'm trying to get across the point that it takes a bit of time and effort. Option 2, you might go with maybe a recruiter and try and use them to kind of funnel these high quality candidates in so you don't have to do as much work, but it's still going to be pricey. But option 3 is you just figure out another way to find people. So an example of a way is to go to all of your colleagues and say, hey, you guys are great analysts. Do you know any great analysts? And then they might say, yeah, actually, I've got a friend who's a great analyst. Let me refer him in. Or let me refer her in. Or you might have a connection in the industry who you trust, who's already big in the industry. You might say, hey, do you know anyone? Or what do you recommend? So you've got all of these other options where you can actually find candidates without applying online. So that begs the question, how do you get those opportunities? And I've got lots of strategies for exactly how to do this step by step, but it really comes down to something very, very simple. And to get these opportunities, you have to be in the right place at the right time. Okay? And what is the right place? The right place is having relationships with people at the companies you want to work at and companies and organizations that can offer you the jobs you want. So if you know people there, you have true relationships, not just fake ones. You build real relationships there. They know you want to work there. And you can do this with the right organizations in the right way over time. Then you'll be in that position so that when they're looking for someone, they think of you. They know that you're interested. And that's kind of in a very simple way how you can make this happen for you. So the 8th reason why people's job applications aren't working, which isn't really a reason, is because they're not thinking about other opportunities. They're only focusing on advertised jobs, which are usually highly competitive. They're not thinking about building relationships and hidden opportunities. So I hope that was really helpful. If you're looking for more free content or you liked this stuff and you want to work together, head to mygradjobs.com.au and I'll see you over there. Keep well, have a great day, and good luck. See you, everyone.